Hi, I'm Erica Ramirez, founder of Illy and host of What About Your Friends, a podcast dedicated to the many lives of friendship and how it's portrayed in pop culture. Every Wednesday on the Ringer Dish feed, I talk to my best friend Stephen Othello and your favorites from within the Ringer and beyond about friendships on TV, in movies, pop culture, and our real lives. So join me every Wednesday on the Ringer Dish feed where we try to answer the question TLC asked back in the day, what about your friends?
This episode is brought to you by eBay Authenticity Guarantee. eBay knows that when it comes to jewelry, authenticity is the real gem. When you see the blue check mark that says Authenticity Guarantee, it means your next piece will be carefully inspired by jewelry experts and will always be worth its weight in gold. Whether you're looking to make a statement or build the perfect everyday look, eBay is making sure you get the real deal. With eBay Authenticity Guarantee, you can trust that jaw-dropping piece will always arrive jaw-droppingly real. Ensure your next purchase is the real deal. Visit ebay.com for terms. This episode is brought to you by Reese's Peanut Butter Cups. All right, it's official. I think I've discovered the ultimate coupling of all time. Like any good relationship, they really balance each other out. One is super sweet, and the other, well, they can be a little nutty sometimes. It is, of course, Reese's Peanut Butter Cups, the perfect combination of peanut butter and chocolate. So perfect, some would call it true love. Find Reese's now at a store near you. Welcome to Bachelor Party. It's Bachelorette season 20. Charity is here. Callie and I are back. Callie, hello.
Hello.
You told me to get my energy up, and it's up. Where's your energy?
It's here. I feel like we have a lot to talk about. I've gotten a lot of DMs. People are pissed that we're on episode 17 of Love Island and they've heard nothing from us.
Well, we're here, people. Don't you worry. It's coming at the end of the episode. I also want to do a brief check-in on Below Deck Sailing Yacht with you. So we do have a lot.
Gosh.
We do have a lot to discuss, and I am thrilled to be digging into it. We are beginning with talking about Charity's first night, and I also just want to note, after Callie and I do our real catch-up over reality TV, Charity will be on this podcast because I interviewed her. So you've got to look forward to. Listen to the end. Callie, what is your first impression of Charity as the Bachelorette?
I really don't have any notes for Charity other than...
No notes. Wow.
There's a few questionable decisions, but other than that, she looked great. She was interacting. She was asking questions. It wasn't really all about her. I felt like we learned a lot about the guys on night one, which sometimes isn't the case. Usually it's more them asking the lead questions, and she was kind of interacting more.
Only 25 guys. And by only, I mean still 25.
No, but it was significantly less.
Which is better because you get to see more of them. You get to get a feel for the first night a little bit more. I was happy it was fewer. I also feel like there's less fewer just kind of jokes, there was the jumper guy who's now gone. But it feels like all of these guys she might date, for the most part. Except for Spencer, who I feel traumatized by. I cannot believe she agreed to keeping him around. I can
believe it.
I don't know.
We saw
he's awful.
The first interaction was horrible. The second interaction wasn't as bad.
I thought it was pretty terrible when he was confessing that he's a father. He made it sound like he was about to share that he has herpes or something, and he was
his reactions are just there's something. Not everything is running correctly.
I'm just is this real?
His reactions were really... No, you can't act like that. His reactions were so slow and odd. That's a weird acting choice if he's acting.
It was a really weird performance. I'm just how does this man find someone to have sex with him and have a child? Because I just found him so off-putting.
I will say I did have that same question. I was he's a dad? How did he get there?
How did he get to that point? I know.
Okay, but he's not ugly.
Maybe he was silent. Yeah, I meant to say maybe he was silent.
He's not. He's not ugly, and I don't think he's a bad person. He doesn't give me
no.
You know what I mean?
Well, when he was kick me in the nuts, I was what is going on? Is this a comedy movie? It was so weird.
So
that was
strange.
the worst entrance I can think of in quite some time. I just back to Charity for a second. She looked stunning. She's really pretty. I think she's in contention for prettiest Bachelorette of all time.
Well, we got to see all of them on this episode. Why?
It's
what
true.
the fuck was that?
Because it's the 20th season.
So,
I don't know.
Like the little
I agree with you.
interjections, I was like, I do not need this. I don't need this at all.
They clearly don't know her, so it was really random.
Also, I think it was Caitlin Bristow was like, I'm so proud of you. And I was like, for what?
I know. What are you proud about? Also, when someone tells you they're proud of you, do you find that to be condescending unless it's like your parent or like your husband?
I mean, I don't know if people tell me how proud they are of me. I feel like maybe like my really good friends, if something like is happening or something. But no, I don't really get like a random I'm proud of you ever.
Let's say you were taking over Bachelor Party and you were like the main host going forward. And I was like passing the torch to you. If I like posted an Instagram message for the whole world to see, being like, Callie, I'm so proud of you. And like picking this up, like I feel like that would just be kind of condescending.
I don't think I would be upset about it. But I also think that you wouldn't say that unless you were actually proud of me. So
I wouldn't. I would be like, I'm so excited for you, or like,
right.
I was like really high hopes for you. I just feel like proud is a weird, like, I think maternalistic thing to say. And
I agree with that.
I didn't care for it.
But also, this isn't even an instance to be proud. It's episode 1. We haven't seen anything.
It's true. You have no idea if she's going to be good or not.
Right.
Like, I don't think Caitlin's watching ahead.
Even if she is, she's gotten 1 episode. They're not giving her the whole season.
Oh, Caitlin?
Yeah. Like, if anything, she's seen 1 episode. That's it.
The episodes aren't ready yet.
Right.
They're not done.
I will say, though, if I did know Charity really well and was one of her really good friends or her parent, episode 1, I'm proud. I'm proud of you, Charity.
I agree. I thought she handled herself really well, except for giving Brayden the rose. More on that to come. We didn't get to know her a lot on Zach's season. Like, we knew that he liked spending time with her, and we knew that she seemed like nice and like fairly normal, but like we really didn't get to see her personality. Even if we had like some like surface level facts, like I didn't really know who she was, but I felt like she seemed like she was having a great time and really relaxed during the entrances. And I liked how she was talking to the producer and like would have commentary. And I thought she just seemed like really natural in this position and like in the spotlight.
Like, to your point, and I didn't note this at the time, but now that you're saying it, she did not seem nervous at all.
No, she was just like ready.
Right.
She was just like flowing. And it's funny. I feel like on Zach's season, they made it seem like she was like meek or something because she would like have issues. Or I forget who she'd had different issues with, like Greer or something like that. She didn't get to have the date because Zach was sick. Like, and they made it seem like she was like a damsel who needed to be saved.
Yeah.
But this version of Charity is like way more just sort of like taking care of herself.
She seems in charge.
I really strong. Yeah, and like strong.
Mm-hmm.
And I really liked that. And we didn't see that at all. So I felt like it was a good beginning, and I liked how they were like positioning her in this first episode. And also not to give the edit so much credit, just like who she was. Like, I thought she seemed fun.
Yes, I agree. And she seems into it. And not that I don't think this all the time, but she does seem like she's really there to try to find a partner. Like, I believe that she's looking for a husband.
Yeah, she got down into business quickly with these guys. Not a lot of chit chat or small talk.
We saw like barely any small talk. It was like straight into feelings and vulnerable. She was like, the first question she asked, was it Xavier? She's like, how do you deal with expressing your feelings? Are you able to be vulnerable? I was like, hell of a first question.
She's in Xavier. She's like, he's a front runner.
Not where are you from? What's your favorite color? Do you like ice cream? Are you able to be vulnerable with me?
Sorry. Question is, what's your favorite color an appropriate question for an adult to ask another adult on a first date?
No. I was just saying there was none of that. There was nothing. No. There was no one who was like scrambling for something to fill the silence.
Right. Yeah. She came prepared. And then when people said weird stuff, she handled it well. She gave people a lot of validation. I think she's going to be really, really good at making the men feel good about themselves. Probably because she's a therapist. So she knows how to like listen and make people feel secure.
Well, we were talking about this before we pressed record, and it was just interesting to see how she brought out a lot of stuff in the guys. Like, I feel like we really got to know the guys. Yes, there was less, but I feel like the first episode, and actually a lot of the season, it's a ton about the lead. And this episode 1, seemed like she was like, I want to get to know these guys. You guys already know who I am.
Yeah. And I think, which is interesting because like through that approach, we got to know her actually in a good way. So, this is one thing I want to mention is this is the first season without Mike Fleiss. So I'm curious to see how that manifests. And I do think there was like a very minor like tonal shift in a good way where it felt a little bit less like
gimmicky.
Yeah, exactly. I was going to say it felt less like they were trying to like exploit something and more just like, this is a wacky show and like, let's just see how it goes, which I prefer. It is wacky.
Well, I also didn't make that realization, but even there being less guys is a change.
Yes.
And out of 25 guys, 23 of them were normal.
Have jobs. Yeah.
Oh, and have jobs. But like there wasn't like, a guy that came in a box and didn't come out of the box. Like it was pretty straightforward.
Yeah. Yeah. Which I definitely prefer. For sure.
Yeah, I don't miss that at all. Like, I don't know. We thought that was like, oh, you have to have it just to have some entertainment. Like, I'm more entertained about her having a conversation with Xavier or what's that other guy's name? Gary or Joey. Like, I love those conversations.
Gary? What show are you watching?
Isn't there a guy named Gary?
No, there's not a Gary.
Who am I thinking of? Hold on. I'm looking up.
I don't know. Adrian? John Henry?
He's one of my favorite guys.
I think you might be thinking of Adrian.
It might be Adrian. He looks like an Adrian.
Are you thinking of Doughton? He's really tall.
No.
But I don't think you would mistake Doughton for Gary. I think you're thinking of Adrian.
I'm almost positive it's Adrian. I'm looking through all the guys right now. It's Adrian.
Yeah. Adrian seems great.
Yes.
Gary, Adrian.
Maybe I had Gary in my head because I
Deck.
stopped. I was in the middle of Below Deck last night, the most recent episode. And I was like, oh, I need to watch. Because the first time I watched this, I watched without watching. Like I just had it in my ears and I listened to the whole thing. And then I went back and watched it. I was like, oh, I need to watch it for the podcast tomorrow. And so I re-watched it. And I think turning off Below Deck midway, first guy that came on my screen, I was like, oh, Gary.
Gary. They're all just a bunch of Garys. So let's talk about the guys a little. Or sorry, before we talk about the guys, one other thing I really liked. So they had her brother Nehemiah come.
You liked that?
Well, I liked how they used him because I liked seeing the guys talk to the bartender, and I liked seeing the guys think they're like off, like not really, trying that hard and like talking to each other. So I really liked that piece of it. I think her brother wearing the disguise, it made him look like Eric LaSalle in Coming to America. that wig. You know what I'm talking about?
Yes. I just don't think it was, I don't know. There has to be better costume. Like go into makeup for 2 hours and have them change your face or something.
Well, I wouldn't have recognized him. I was impressed that Josh did. I would not have. Josh was like, I know you from somewhere.
He didn't. He just recognized someone. I also didn't like how I think it was Josh was like, is your mustache fake? And then we never heard the end of it. All he did was press it and then it went to commercial and came back and they didn't pick up right there.
That's a pretty ballsy thing to say. I would never go to someone and be like, are you wearing a wig? Is your
okay, but that's
fake?
A little different, right?
Yeah. So a wig is definitely different, but even with a fake mustache, it's just sort of like, I don't know. I feel like I've been really scared off, except for on this podcast when I'm talking to you about people I don't know. I've been really scared off of like commenting on people's appearance. Maybe just because like it's a sensitivity for me or something, but I just feel like it's so wrong to like comment on people's appearance to them. Even if you think they look good, you're just like, I'm like, no, just don't say anything. It's just like, I don't know, don't comment. Although I did comment on your hair and we signed on.
If it's bad, obviously I think you should keep it to yourself. / you don't need to ever tell anyone that you think someone looks bad. Obviously we do on this podcast, but you don't need to do that.
It's part of the occupation.
Yes. If someone looks good, like my brother had his coach from middle school come over the other day and he's lost like 60 pounds. I'm not going to not say anything. Like I feel like you had to have been working hard to do that.
Yeah. I don't know. It's just dicey. Anyway.
I think you also have to be pretty comfortable to say something about weight specifically.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Spoiler alert, lots of conversation about appearance coming later when we get to Love Island. I've got a lot of notes. Anyway, I like seeing the guys casual, and I thought that was a really good decision. And also kind of reminded me of when Jesse Palmer was, I think it was Jesse, when he was the Bachelor, he had like a mole on the show who would like tell him information. And I like that. It's actually useful.
I feel like you kind of got to see the guys more talking to the bartender because they're not so perfect.
Yeah. And like, this should be silly, you know? Like, it shouldn't be that serious. And so I'm glad that this is kind of like the direction it's trending. Let's talk about the guys.
Okay, so I was going to say, from seeing the bartender scenes, was there any guy that you were like, made you like them more or made you like them less?
I think it made me like all of them more because they just seemed more like normal people and less, except for Brayden.
Yeah.
Well, I thought the way that Brayden acted with Charity was also awful. So I just dislike him. I just think he's weird. I find his earrings really strange. They're like non-matching.
They're also
I find
enormous.
everything about, they're enormous. Like, I just find him, I can't believe that's who she gave her first impression rose to. Like, this is a good group of guys. That makes me very concerned about who she's going to pick in the end. But Brayden sucks. Like, I can't believe she picked him.
I can't believe she picked him because based on what we saw, she had really good, strong connections with like 6 guys. So I'm like, out of all 6, that's who you're choosing?
I really thought she was going to give it to Xavier. Like, I really thought so. They seemed like they really like vibed. She went in and leaned in for the kiss with him. Like, I just thought
I thought it was going to be Joey.
Seems strong. Yeah, she seemed to be into Joey too. Where are you at on Joey?
I like Joey.
Joey's a joke to me. I mean, I don't dislike him, but I'm just sort of like,
he wasn't even trying hard.
You're really into tennis right now, so I think you're blinded by the fact that he's a tennis pro. I like how he calls himself a tennis teaching professional.
Tennis pro. That is what they're called.
It's a real fantasy. Like, isn't it like a real like summer? Well, I don't know if you have this fantasy, but like a real summer thing to like have a hot tennis pro and then you have like a relationship or fling.
I mean, it's definitely a thing. The last head of tennis got fired from the country club I'm a member of because he had inappropriate relations. So it's definitely a thing.
When I was like 13, I had like a really cute tennis teacher and his name was Eric. And my best friend and I took lessons together and we were like obsessed with him. I just feel like that's like a thing. It's just having a hot tennis pro in your life.
Wouldn't you say, I guess there's guys in every sport, but I'd say tennis is a pretty good looking sport.
Definitely. We have a sample size of 2. We got Jason from Gabby and Rachel's season and now Joey. And they're both good options.
Jason kind of burned out in flames, but yeah, I see what you're saying. Good looking.
And he also ghosted me. He agreed to do this podcast and then never came on. So
I didn't know that.
I don't know what happened. I think that WB like the show that may have blocked him from doing more press. I don't know what's going on there. I'll keep trying. So you like Joey.
Yes.
What about, who else? Who else is on your list?
Joey, obviously, I mean, I think Xavier's on everyone's list, right?
I mean, he's just absolutely a catch. I mean, if this man doesn't end up with Charity, like, I already feel like maybe he should be the Bachelor. He seems awesome. Also, being a biochem PhD, that's amazing. He has to be really smart.
He's definitely smart. Yeah, he's definitely smart.
Yeah.
I liked Joey, Xavier, Adrian. Those are probably my top 3. And then I had, from just like the limo entrances, I wrote Doughton. But then we didn't really see much else of him that was like impressive anyways.
They didn't talk.
Yeah. So, but in the previews, you see him a lot.
He's really good looking. I think he goes far. Seems like she really likes him.
So I still want to put like a little asterisk for Doughton.
I think the finale's in Fiji. And so like when you see her with some guys in like the beautiful
like on
tropical
islands.
area. Yeah. It's like, oh, they must have gone far. So yeah, I think Doughton is definitely a contender. He is incredibly handsome. He's also really tall.
Really tall.
So there's that.
And when he got out of the limo, there was like, you could feel chemistry between them.
Yeah, because he's hot. I mean, he's just like objectively the most striking of the guys, I think. Partially because he's taller than all of them. But like, I think that's a big piece of it. I liked him too. I like John, the Chinese American data scientist.
I did like John.
The fortune cookie, like that was cute. He's He's a sleeper pick for me. I bet he goes like halfway, but not to hometowns. But
he could be Bachelor. I'd be down for that.
Me too. I like him a lot. Yeah, I'm like into these guys who are like a little bit nerdy but really handsome. I feel like, I mean, who's not? It's kind of the dream guy, isn't it? Well, maybe not for everyone, but it is for me. I thought I was gonna like Aaron B, but his performance for Charity was honestly unbearable. Like just absolutely unbearable. The spoken word piano playing.
To like it.
I don't know.
It didn't even rhyme. It didn't even like.
It was really
the
weird.
Sentences didn't go together.
It was really weird. It was
I
like
hated it.
It was like an SNL skit. I didn't care for that at all. Another person I wasn't into is Caleb, the wrestler. He is like also participating in the jumping.
I know. Even just, I don't know if this is a nice thing to say, but just based off profession, it's a no for me.
It's a bad sign too, because it just means that he's coming into this as a performer. And like, it means that he is definitely like, he knows what he's doing. And that's really not great.
Also, once he said he was a wrestler, like I just can't get it out of my head. Like when I see him, weird. I see him in a Speedo.
Yeah.
A Speedo and knee-high boots. It's not for me.
Going into wrestling is like, well, I couldn't be a professional athlete. I couldn't be a professional actor. So I guess I'll go into wrestling and like play a part there and like see what happens.
Yeah.
And so that's like a pretty bad sign in my opinion.
Also him like participating in the jumping, which the jumping thing was so strange.
So strange. I did like how Aaron S. described it though. He was like, these are men in heat. That was pretty funny.
Yeah. Yeah, like trying to show.
Aaron S. is a very old school Bachelorette contestant to me. Like he doesn't have a chance, but he will like be around for a while because he'll talk and whatnot.
Good narrator.
Yes, exactly. Good narrator.
I also love like while they were jumping, Charity was just like, yeah, so cool. I was like, Charity, come on.
I know.
You hate this.
She definitely does hate it. But like, I like how she's like a supportive person. I guess she wants to, say all the right things.
Which I thought it was interesting what Brayden said, where he was like, in most of my relationships, I like would just give and not receive. And I would give to my detriment. And I know a lot of people that do that. And not even just in relationships and friendships too. Juliet, you do this sometimes, I believe. And I felt like that was very relatable. But I was also like, I can't believe that you were that person, Brayden.
You just give.
Yeah, I'm like, were you? Because the moment he wasn't with Charity, he talked about himself so much. And I feel like usually people who are those type of people aren't also really into themselves.
It's a good point. It's not like he's been giving and his moment to receive attention is fighting among other men for one woman's attention.
And then going and I was like, you just sat down with Charity and told her how like you always put yourself in the back seat and you always put your partner first and da-da-da-da. And I'm just like, and then the next moment you are only talking about yourself and not asking anyone else about their experience. Those things just don't add up to me.
He also acted like a child. Like he was like, it's like he had never talked to a girl before. And he was like telling his friends like, oh my God, talked to this girl. So amazing. It was very immature. Like,
and then in his interview,
he
was like, like stuck his tongue out. I was like, what the fuck?
How could she give him the first impression rose? Why? Why do you think she did it?
If I saw just the clip of him sticking his tongue out, immediate ick. You're getting eliminated.
Yeah, it's just like. Also, her brother, she trusts her brother so much. And she just fucking didn't listen. Tough one for Nehemiah.
Well, so the Nehemiah bit to me was kind of pointless. I did like getting to see them talk to the bartender. But other than that, I'm like, that could have been anyone. Didn't need to be Nehemiah because she didn't listen to him anyways. I also thought it was good that Nehemiah had pretty little notes about anyone else. He liked everyone. Yeah.
And no one was like offensive. It did seem like the guys were like pretty respectful. Like when he was like, are you guys going to make out with her tonight? And I think one of them was like, yeah, if the vibe's right. And it's like, good answer. Sure. It's like, that's appropriate. If it feels right. Sure. She made out with a lot of them, by the way, more than I would have guessed.
Well, also like full makeout. It wasn't just like a one kiss.
I know. Full on. And then Brayden said, she bit his lip a little. She was like really turning it on.
Into it. I also was when he was like, do you guys really think that you can find like love out of this? Like most of them were like, yeah, I think so. I think, like they really, Joey was one of them. There's another point for Joey. He was like, it seems like he really believes in this. Like it could really happen. And like he's saying this to a bartender. You know what I mean? Like it's not like he was on and thinking he was being recorded. You know what I mean?
He seems genuine. He just seems like he speaks slowly. I just want to say, Joey talks very slowly. He's like talking on island time. And for me, that's a deal breaker. Also, I like that he moved to Hawaii. Well, he's not from Hawaii. He's from Philadelphia, and he moved to Hawaii.
You're right.
Which is like it's like a good thing to do in your 20s. I support it. Like, live your life. But what's next for him? I don't know. Will she move to Hawaii? I guess you can be a tennis.
He can live anywhere.
Yeah,
especially
in California. And I feel like she'll move to California. Although I don't know, she's got a good life going on in Charlotte, North Carolina.
I mean, he could do that in Charlotte. Charlotte's also like very sunny. He could be a tennis pro there.
I feel like there's a lot of tennis and sports in general happening in Charlotte.
Or anywhere where it's warm.
Or cold, inside, in a bubble. I used to play tennis inside.
Yeah, it's not the same. I also really liked that Joey was like, it's fucking freezing.
Yeah. It was raining so hard.
Like, we never hear that on The Bachelor. They always pretend that everything's all good. Like, it was pouring rain when they were getting out of the limo and no one mentioned the rain. And then they go to sit out for 2 seconds and has his hands like in between his legs. She has a fur coat on. She keeps like leaning into him because she's cold. And I feel like he's just like, we got to just address this. It's so fucking cold outside.
Also, the rain it was like hailing. You could hear it on the ceiling when she was talking to, I think it was Xavier. And I was like, are they in the garage? Like, is that like a metal roof? Like, what's going on? That's not the sound of rain in a normal house.
Also, I feel like The Bachelor is not used to this at all because LA typically has great weather. And most of my friends that live in LA have said since January, it's been horrible.
Yeah.
It's been horrible weather all year.
Apparently, it was like a really gloomy, cloudy, rainy June, which is super weird. It's usually cloudy, but it burns off. Yeah. It's like the worst possible
usually by noon,
time.
It's
sunny.
Yeah. By noon, it's sunny. And no, it's been super cloudy and like 60.
Yeah. That sucks. That's like San Francisco weather, honestly.
You know who doesn't feel bad for them though? Me, because they talk about their weather so much.
I know.
I'm like, good. I'm glad you guys are paying crazy taxes and still have bad weather.
It's true. If you're not getting the good weather benefits of LA, like seriously, what's the point? It's not like a convenient place to live. So it's not like the best city. Good luck, everyone out there. A couple other people I like. Tanner, he came with a towel. I feel like he's going to come on strong later on.
James is another one.
Yes. I like James as well.
I also thought the note from his mom was really sweet.
Yes, it was.
And he didn't know that there was a note in there. And I feel like most of the time I wouldn't have believed that, but I actually really believed him because he was embarrassed when he saw.
This was really fucking long. It wasn't just like a short.
I know.
Like, it was a full page.
I appreciate that though.
Why did they have to eat the cider donut together? Like, couldn't they just break it off? Even if I was like really like madly love at first sight with someone,
had to have been a producer.
I know, but that's just not a thing. Maybe with spaghetti. Maybe because of Lady and the Tramp. But with a random apple cider donut, which by the way, I love. I love an apple cider donut. That's just like weird. God.
I'm thinking about the spaghetti and I can't. No. Because I don't want to share. Like, I'll eat something off your plate.
Yeah.
I'm not sharing a noodle.
I mean, I guess I don't want to, but I could see doing that for the purpose of The Bachelorette because it's like a trope because of Lady and the Tramp.
Yeah, sure. I'd feel like we're on Love Island if I'm baby birding anything.
Didn't they do that on Love Island? On one of our shows, they did that with the Reese's Peanut Butter Cup.
They always do it.
Oh, I guess that's on The Bachelor. The piece of Reese's Peanut Butter Cup. Or maybe I talked about that on a different show.
Oh, they split it.
Yeah.
For some reason, I know what you're talking about, but I can't place it.
I think it happened on Zach's season.
I can't imagine him doing that. Speaking of, I didn't dislike Zach's season, but I think I completely forgot about it.
I agree with you. It's like completely irrelevant.
When this show started, I was like, oh yeah, she and Clayton didn't work. And then when she brought up Zach's name, I was like, oh my God, I completely forgot about Zach. Like the last Bachelor to me was Clayton.
And he's kind of like off the grid. Him and Katie are like boring. And yeah, I mean, I think that was a pretty bad season.
I see Katie on TikTok, but I never see Zach with her, but they're still together.
I think it's a good sign. If they were like putting their relationship on TikTok, I think that would be like weird. Clearly, he's not like a TikTok guy. So I think that's actually a good sign. But
yeah,
his relationship, I mean, that his season was boring until the end when he screwed over Gabby. Like that was the only thing that was interesting. He also had COVID, so he was not in like 1.5 episodes. So yeah,
that's true. And even the Gabby thing, it was just more so like interesting to talk about like his decision making there.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a bad couple of seasons of The Bachelor because the Rachel and Gabby season also was just like a mess. They didn't know how to do 2 bachelorettes. The relationships ended really quickly. Like, it's not been a good stretch. So I do think this feels like a little bit of a reset in a good way so far. It was like a pretty solid first episode. Didn't blow me away, but I liked Charity. I thought that she handled herself well. And like, I think these guys seem like, because they're a little bit less like just they're not like jokes of humans. I feel like it could actually be a more interesting season because I've realized that ultimately got to go back to square one, which is like actually people you want to spend time with on TV.
Also, usually in the first episode, you can see guys that want to be the Bachelor.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like there was less of that too. Like these seem, I don't know if it's a good thing or bad thing, because I mean, what I'm about to say is going to sound bad, but I would say a lot of these guys are more boring than normal.
Mm-hmm.
And it seems like they're just like here to get to know someone. And if it works out, it works out. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But there wasn't like anyone doing extra shit to be, in first place, if that makes sense.
Yeah. There wasn't even like a Jordan Rogers, who obviously like is still with JoJo. Like they're going strong. But he had so much like flair early on. And plus he's Aaron Rodgers' brother, where you're like, is this guy just trying to be the Bachelor? But yeah, that doesn't happen right now. But that's happening.
Episode 1, I knew who Jordan Rogers was.
Yeah. You're like, okay, it's like he's either the next Bachelor or he's winning, and there's nothing else. But yeah, I agree with you. Like I don't even know who I would like nominate for next Bachelor from this group right now.
I think I was saying boring in a good way.
They are relatable people. I think that's ultimately what it is. And it's not just like a fake influencer, trainer, or whatever.
100%. Also, they're not all like 6'4", 8-pack, like models. Like these seem like people that you could actually meet in the real world.
Yeah. I mean, the fact that there's a biochem PhD, an actual doctor, a data scientist, like many people, like there's like
Harvard grad student,
firefighter, even tennis pro. Like these are like relatable, real jobs that people have. And that's nice to see.
On this show, I think it works.
I do too.
On Love Island, I don't want relatable people.
Should we get into Love Island season 10?
I think it's a good transition.
I'm going to be honest. I just feel like I need to be honest with our audience and tell them my first comment to you when I started watching the show. My question was, did they run out of hot people to be on Love Island? Because I do not find any of these people like, I'm like, oh, they should be on reality TV. They're hot. Until there's a couple of bombshells, maybe. But like, I was just like, what's going on? Like these women and these men too are just like regular. And like, moreover, nobody's funny. Nobody's intentionally funny. Like there's no jokester in the group. I don't know. It's a really weird season. That said, I'm all in. But like, I am so baffled by this cast. And like, obviously they're baffled by each other over this, like, the Whitney and Maddie stuff and Jess and Sammy. I mean, it's just like all so weird. Like what's going on?
So is there any guy that you would be interested in?
Maybe Scott. Maybe.
Interesting. Scott. I mean, he does seem kind of boring and hot. So that's great.
Yeah. That's what I'm looking for in Love Island. Although I don't know. I don't want boring. I was like, no. I think that Tyreek seems like the most fun to be around because he's just like says whatever. And he's so weird. I think it's so fucking funny.
I absolutely love Tyreek.
The fact that he just wore no clothes to the hideaway. He wore
Tyreek
socks.
Is easily my favorite on this.
To the hideaway, he wore his underwear, socks, slides, and a do-rag. And that's it. Usually, and like
I love it.
And she put so much effort into Ella put so much effort into her outfit. He just was like, yeah, this is what I'm going to wear. And it was
another room.
It was so funny. I mean, it like kind of made sense. It's sort of like when, like last night I drove, I had and I knew it was getting to my house at like 10 o'clock. So I wore sweats and I was like, I could just go to sleep in this when I arrive if I want to. So it's sort of a similar principle. But he's like so funny because he just says whatever. But everyone else is like a wet blanket.
He does. I don't know if he's unaware or just doesn't care, but he's going to be himself no matter what. Doesn't matter what the circumstances are. He's not doing anything he doesn't want to do. I loved when Leah was like, I think I'm going to put a timeline on this, and you need to let me know by tonight. And he was like, nah.
I'm so obsessed with Love Island that I listened to the official Love Island podcast hosted by
how was it?
India from previous season, Sam who's on After Sun, and someone else who I forget. I didn't listen ahead. Like I just listened up to where I was yesterday. So I listened to an episode where they were talking about the Jess and Sammy drama, and then Ruchi was on as like a guest. It was her first interview after leaving the villa. And she was saying that's exactly who Tyreek is. I liked the podcast, by the way, a lot. It was good.
Yeah.
And Ruchi was just like, yeah, Tyreek is just like does his own thing, knows who he is, and like that's that. She likes him too.
That's so attractive.
Yeah. You know who seems like is just disliked widely? Ruchi was sort of like pled the Molly. Yes. Molly is hated. Which I get. Molly's like really confident, and you're just kind of like, why? What's so good about you?
Yeah. Also, so Seth and I watch Love Island together, which is great, but also I hate when I need to watch like 3 episodes and I'm like, come on, we gotta watch, we gotta lock in tonight.
Let's get in the lab and lock in.
Yeah. And we watch After Sun because for some reason Seth fucking loves After Sun.
I do feel like I'm missing out. I'm considering watching it. I feel like you get some good info.
I don't think you're missing out on that much, but Seth loves it. So we watch every After Sun episode. I do like it because Maya's in it and we don't get to see her that much on the show. So I like watching After Sun for that. And overall, it seems like there hasn't been much positive on Molly. Like everyone feels the same way.
She's like fake and competitive. And
it also seems like even from just watching the show, none of the girls like her. Like she's not friends with the girls. She's friends with some of the guys, none of the girls. I loved when Zach was working out with Charlotte and she was like, oh, I'm going to go take a wee and then I'll come join you guys. She never went to the bathroom. She just stood right there.
She's so lame.
Then Jess, who I think is the second funniest after Tyreek, was like, how's it going? No, thank you. I don't want to join. I don't want to join that triangle. Like, I think Jess is,
She's also like, I don't work out. Jess is, I like it. She's like, I don't work out. Jess, I hate working out too. It's really a struggle for me. Jess, I find irritating and like hard to look at because I hate how she does her makeup and the way she dresses. She's actually really pretty. When I saw her without makeup, I was like, oh, you're like a beautiful girl. Like, what are you doing? Anyway, she is the show. Without Jess, there is no show this season. Like, she is so crucial because she brings drama.
Jess and Tyreek.
She says funny things.
I feel like have to be there.
Yes. Jess, when Jess was like, felt really in demand. The only when Whitney was like, Jess is the new Bitcoin, that was pretty funny.
Yeah.
That
was funny.
But like Jess brings it. We need her. Also, I think that her accent sounds a lot like Adele. So she reminds me of like Adele in 2007 or whatever, who was also kind of like rough around the edges back then.
My group chat calls her Adele.
Oh, she sounds like her.
Is that it though?
Yeah, it's her accent.
Are they say? I thought it was because she kind of was like, she kind of like
bigger?
Looked like her too. But yeah, maybe that's what I mean. Like maybe. They call her Adele in my group chat.
It's because she sounds just like her. I would say that Jess, she's really pretty. I would say she's only bigger based on like who usually goes on the show. And I'm not trying to like.
Like in real life, she has a perfectly normal body.
Yeah, I would say thin. She just
perfectly.
She and Whitney and Molly have just an absolute lack of breast support at all times. And it makes me so mad. First of all, the boob sweat's got to be out of control.
It's purposeful.
I know it's purposeful. It looks bad. What?
Okay.
Is that hot? Do men find that hot? I don't know.
Underboob was in. I don't know if it still is, but it definitely was in like not that long ago.
But like not when you're in a bathing suit for 12
like Molly
hours
had
a day.
a dress where the bottom of her boobs were totally out.
Yeah, I know. Montana did that in season 3. It's like just like not new, but it's just
the bathing suit thing though. I'm like,
if that's what you're wearing for the whole day,
I'm fine with underboob on bathing suits. But like sometimes Jess's, I'm like, you can't stand up.
Yeah, it's like
your boobs will just fall out.
It's insane. It makes me so distracted.
Also, I think it seems like all the girls like Jess, but it seems like all the guys like Jess too.
Yeah, she seems like she's fun. All the guys just like to hang out with her.
Oh God, you know who we forgot?
Who?
The show to me is Tyreek, Jess, and
Mitch.
Yes.
Mitch is so funny. He's horrifying but funny. And we were texting about why he wasn't in the bottom, and I think it's because he's not hurting anyone. Everyone sees what he's doing, and all he's doing is making a fool of himself, and it's entertaining. The way that he is so transparent about like telling the girls he's into them is just like a joke. It's hilarious.
Well, also like he cannot read a room.
No.
In any way. There's just so many things he's done where we have laughed out loud at the TV.
Yeah.
Because his choices, you're just like, what world? You're not living in the world we're all living in.
It's like there's no consequences for what he does. Like it doesn't occur to him that like it could go bad and then he would be like kicked out or something.
His recoupling speech when Zach recoupled with Charlotte was so odd. Then afterwards he was like, I'm going to act like we're just friends, but I'm going to be low key trying to get to know you. Why would that work, Mitch?
Also, why are you telling her? Why are you telling her that's what the plan is?
He's like, low key though, right? Low key. She was like, what do you mean by low key? Like, what are you talking about? And then he just like goes up to Jess and was like, yeah, so I'm into you. I'd like to get to know you. And Jess laughed in his face.
I know. I think everyone's confused about like if that's remotely real, including Jess. It's just so weird. I don't know. The biggest confusion to me is Whitney and Maddie. Whitney is so annoying. The way that she talks is just like one of the reasons I tune into Love Island is for the real slang of these Brits. If I wanted to hear people say it's
she
giving,
talks in TikTok.
I can open TikTok or like I don't know. It's just unbearable. I hate how she's just like a TikTok video in action, and she also says we love that. Charity does that too.
When they were in the bathroom dancing, all the girls.
Yeah,
do you remember that
before the hideaway? Was
that what it was before?
Or maybe there was a date. I think it was
they had like a choreographed dance.
Oh yeah. I recall. Yes, that was cute actually.
I was just like, what is happening?
She did all the moves wrong.
It was insane. But they will like quote like, oh, it's giving boss bitch.
I hate that.
I'm just like, that's not what's happening. Like this is no.
So Jess, Tyreek, and Mitch are probably my favorites for entertainment value. I wouldn't say like for recommending people date them, but like those are my 3 favorites for entertainment. My least favorite.
I would date Tyreek.
You would or would not?
Well, I mean, obviously not now, but
yeah,
if I was on the show, I would date Tyreek.
Yeah,
absolutely. That being said, he's going to cheat on Ella and cost him more.
Agreed. But my least favorite people are probably Sammy, Ella,
easily.
I think Maddie or Whitney. All 4 of them. I can't stand.
Maddie. It's definitely Maddie over Whitney. There seems to be some sort of cultural disconnection with me and Maddie. Like Whitney laughing and him being like, that was disrespectful.
Yeah.
I'm like, huh? Even if you thought it was disrespectful, why wouldn't you sit her down and be like, hey, I really didn't appreciate when you laughed. Like him being like, I think it's really disrespectful what you did. What are you talking about? Like he's
also, how about saying
off?
That hurt my feelings or like that bothered me. Don't make it like a referendum 100%. On like respect. It's like he's making it too big of a deal. And she didn't mean to.
And then she was like, no, I was just like shy. And he was like,
yeah, I think she's guarded is what I was going to say.
And that was the end. Well, she does not like Maddie.
she doesn't. But I feel like she talks in these TikTok-isms, and she's very sort of like over the top as like a defense mechanism, and we're not really getting to know like the core of her. I hope that over time we will. But my biggest complaint about this season, coming out of our season 3 watch, which was just so delightful, is that they need to bring back smoking. I'm sorry. There's just it's a real problem for the show because they don't have natural interactions. We have to watch people say over and over again, "Can I pull you?" or like, "Hey, can I pull you for your chat?" or "Hey, you want to have a chat?" Whereas like when they smoke, there's a natural social.
They just go.
Yeah, they just go and they have a smoke together. And like,
yeah,
I'm sorry, we need to bring that back. Flash a million warnings of like, this is bad for you. But like, if they are smoking anyway, we just don't get to see it. But it actually hurts the show. And the other thing is, let them be inside. Some of the best moments was like seeing them just like lying around in bed and like doing nothing. And like they separate the boys and the girls too much. I think it's probably better for production. It's probably easier to make the show if they do that. But it's a worse show. We've lost the like real world vibe and like the sort of like challenge vibe of like people hanging out. And now it's just way too structured, like boys and girls trying to find love.
I think that they also, like the producers of this show, are doing a little bit of a Bachelor situation where they're trying to push them to do crazy things.
Yeah.
So like being in the hot sun and not being able to come inside, like most likely something crazy is going to happen. In season 3, they were in and out of that house like no other.
Yeah. And it was really entertaining. Like the problem is they're not messy. Like they're not like they don't like ever look messy. They don't ever like act just sort of casually anymore because they are so aware of being on camera. That's partially because like people are familiar with the show, but it's also because I think they've like production has structured it in a way where it's like you're on or you're off or whatever, but definitely hurts the show.
Yes.
I miss the fluidity of going inside and outside and like people cooking for themselves and like just actually living there and like trying to like figure out what's what.
And to that point, whenever they do like transitions, like when the music's playing and they're just going from like outside to inside, they'll show like flashes of them in the bedroom. And you always see like, I saw Tyreek dancing once. I saw a guy like rolling around on the floor. And I'm like, I'd like to see that. What was happening to where he was dancing? But you know what I mean? Like what conversation was happening?
It seems like Zach and Mehdi are good friends. And I'm just like, how? Can we get some backstory on like how that came together?
Zach and Mehdi?
Yeah.
I feel like Zach and Tyreek and Sammy.
I saw it in today's episode on Monday.
Oh, this morning.
Yeah, there's an episode. There's like a scene of them.
So
but like,
on After Sun, they had Zach on and Tyreek on, and they both said that they are those like him, Tyreek and Zach are the closest friends in the entire house.
Interesting. 2 athletes? Is that why?
I mean, I could see them being each other's type for friends.
Do you think Zach will cheat on Molly?
Yeah, I think he's gone in Casa. Zach, I will say, is more surprising. As he's from like the first episode to now, I like him way more than the first episode.
He seems sweet. He seems more genuine than Molly, actually.
Oh yeah, way more genuine. I also think he's smarter.
Yeah,
and it's not close. And then I loved, who was he talking to? Sammy. I love when Sammy was pissed that Leah was mad at him, and Zach was like, "I read a book on accountability." And sometimes you need to look into like, why is this person mad? What did I do to make them mad? And take accountability for your part. And I was like, I never fucking thought I'd hear the phrase that you read a book, Zach.
I know.
So good for you.
Didn't know you could read. Love it.
Yeah. And 2, what you're saying is correct. Like I thought what he said was actually like smart, and he was trying to be helpful in that situation. And Sammy like obviously is too dumb to get it. But in that situation, I was like, Zach is not who I thought he was from episode 1.
Yeah, Zach seems like he's actually a good dude. I guess I'm liking getting to know him. But yeah, it's just like it just takes so long because we don't get to see them in like these casual moments, basically. It's like going from drama point to drama point all the time. But I think Zach and Tyreek seem pretty genuine. Like we're like who we see is who they are. It's funny. The women seem way more like the schemers, them and like I guess Mitch.
100%.
But Mitch is so bad at it that it's just funny.
That being said, I still think that Zach and Tyreek are available in Casa.
I definitely agree. Definitely.
Also, I might think that because Ella and Molly are like in my bottom,
you'd be like
3 people, 4 people.
You'd be like, I would cheat on them. So
I want them to leave.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want them to leave too.
Yeah,
Ella
so maybe
was
it's me
close
wanting them
leaving.
to leave.
I mean, I couldn't really make a case for Rucci to stay, but I was like, please, let's just get rid of Ella. She has too firm of
Ella
a
just
grip.
annoys me so much.
She reminds me too. She's the Liv from season 9 of this season for me.
Oh, yeah.
Where I'm just like,
she's also like, I'm like, there's no way she's trying to win this early on because usually it happens later on in the show. But like her getting inside of Jess's head and constantly being like, Sammy, it's pretty convenient, and Sammy did this, and Sammy, I'm like, what is your goal here?
yeah, I know.
Because like I don't like Sammy, but I also don't think he was doing what she was telling Jess he was doing.
She goes from 0 to 100 very quickly.
Like I don't like Sammy, and I don't think that Sammy likes Jess for the right reasons, whatever. But her just automatically being like, oh, Sammy did this, so that means this. I'm just like, why are you putting in your input here?
Yeah.
I was more mad at Sammy for not telling Leah that he was picking Jess than anything else.
He has just no empathy. Like he's a man without any like sensitivity to other people's feelings, and he sucks. And also he's just like he seems pretty dumb. Also, I find his hair very confusing. When it's dry, it looks really bad.
I hate his hair. I hate his hair.
Me too. In general, I know they're like wearing the clothes provided for them, but everyone looks bad. Like everyone's clothes just look bad.
I don't know if it's just because I like Tyreek, but I think his style works for him.
Well, that's because he's barely like, he's just wearing really basic stuff, which is good.
Yeah. Which I feel like he probably looked at the clothes and was like, and they're probably like, wear this. And he was like, nah.
Mitch is like, reminds me of Ron in that he would like to be Ron, but he's just so bad at what he's doing. And Ron's much smarter.
And Ron's a better dresser.
I can't check. Two things. I can't check Reddit because I don't want to get spoilers, but I did a few days ago before I was at risk of spoilers. There's speculation that Ron and Lana have broken up. So we'll have to keep an eye on that. And number 2, Montana had her baby yesterday. So shouts to her.
Oh, congratulations, Montana.
I really miss Chris from season 3. Like I actively, I was searching my podcast app. I was like, are there podcast episodes I can listen to with Chris? But they're all about mental health, and I don't really want to listen to that.
I was going to say, I know he has like a podcast, but I did not know they were all about mental health. But I knew that his like whole thing's about mental health now. Oh no, not him. Kem's whole thing's about mental health. Maybe Chris's too.
Chris was a guest.
Seems like they really went through it after the season 3.
Yeah, I mean they had so much fame really quickly. I don't know.
And that they were the first group that like really
blew
popped
up.
off fame wise.
Yeah. I'm a deranged person. How much I'm like, oh, I miss season 3. I'm just like, what's wrong with me in my life right now?
I wonder if you're gonna feel the same about seasons 4 and 5.
I'm excited to watch them, but no smoking. I don't know. I've never been an advocate for smoking, but here I am.
I want to be clear. I don't think you are an advocate for smoking. I just think that you would enjoy.
I'm an advocate for
show,
natural social interactions that we're not being deprived of.
There we go.
Let's quickly hit Below Deck. I'm a few eps behind, but don't worry about spoiling. It's not really a show you can spoil. The boat being so shitty is like, it was funny at first, but now I'm just like, this really is not what the show should be about, and also like embarrassing for the crew. Like, how is the boat such a fucking disaster?
No, like they've got to retire their boat. They have to.
Parsifal 3 has to go. And if I was a guest, because these guests still have to pay. It's less, but they still have to pay. They better get their money back. What a mess.
If we never left the dock, I'm just not paying.
I would be like, what's the local hotel rate for a comparable hotel to what we just stayed in? Because I'll pay the nightly rate and that's it.
I would still stay on the boat, but I'm still not paying. And you're not getting a tip.
It like really fucks up your vacation. You've traveled so far to be on the Parsifal 3 in
You're
Sardinia.
Not going on vacation. What do you mean? There's no vacation. The vacation's over.
I know.
You're on a dock.
Also, who wants to stay on a boat if it's not moving around? It just sucks. It really sucks. This is a really bad season for 2 faves. Or really all 3 faves. Colin, Gary, and Daisy. They're all coming off real bad.
I don't know if Colin's coming off bad, is he?
He's coming off less bad. He's just sort of being a little bit of a dick, but I think Daisy and Gary in particular, I'm just like, Gary's like kind of a sexual predator with the staff on the boat. So like, I don't know how that's allowed to fly.
Everything seems consensual.
That's true.
It's a lot of like boss
A power imbalance.
A power imbalance. Like it grosses me out. I also just, for the life of me, don't get it.
Me neither.
And at BravoCon, I was so excited to see him because I was like, there's gotta be something in person. I don't get it.
He was fun. I actually would say he was like less attractive in person. I was just like, oh, you're just a regular guy. I have a nice picture of me, him, and Rachel. So that's cool.
Yeah. I think he's fun and maybe that's the attraction. That being said, and I hate saying this about women, but it's also, I feel the exact same way about Daisy. I'm like, how is she the hot commodity here?
I kind of get Daisy because she's just like has a commanding presence, and obviously her and Gary just have like a connection. But I mean, Colin's obviously very hot, but yeah, I don't know. This is a weird season in general. It's a weird crew, and the boat being so bad has been an issue.
The boat being bad is an issue. If I'm Colin, I'm taking a step back. I'm not getting involved in all this. I think he needs to reevaluate his and Daisy's relationship and just be like, this isn't worth it.
Not. Also, he was like so above it all for a while. I don't know. I'm behind though, so I don't have all the same info as you. I just had Daisy and Colin make out.
Oh, well, yeah. They're hooking up. I didn't realize it was a secret that Daisy and Gary had
secret
sex.
to?
Everyone. No one knew. And then Daisy has to tell Colin like days after they make out.
I thought everyone knew. We knew.
And it's Colin's... No. Colin's reaction is not
shit.
great
I can't wait
either.
to get there.
He's not happy about it, which he asks Gary and Daisy kind of like, is there anything there? And they're both like, no, it's nothing. We're just friends. And then they make out, and then they're about to make out again. And Daisy's like, I have to tell you I had sex with Gary. And Colin's like, what?
I can't believe he's shocked.
Not great. He was shocked and he's pissed.
I'll follow up next week when I'm caught up.
He is pissed.
This episode is brought to you by Visible. Maybe you've already let your New Year's resolution slip. We all have, but you can still make a 2 year's resolution with Visible. Right now, you can get a one-line wireless plan from Visible for just $20 per month for 24 months. 24 months is basically 4 Bachelor seasons. That could be 4 engagements, 4 broken engagements, so many other couples we didn't see coming. It's really an eternity in Bachelor Nation. And that's unlimited 5G data powered by Verizon with no annual contracts. Switch now at Visible.com and use the code Visible24. Don't miss out. Offer ends January 31st. New members only. Promotional rate with service on the Visible plan. For additional terms and network management practices, see Visible.com. This episode is brought to you by eBay Authenticity Guarantee. eBay knows that when it comes to jewelry, authenticity is the real gem. When you see the blue check mark that says Authenticity Guarantee, it means your next piece will be carefully inspired by jewelry experts and will always be worth its weight in gold. Whether you're looking to make a statement or build the perfect everyday look, eBay is making sure you get the real deal. With eBay Authenticity Guarantee, you can trust that jaw-dropping piece will always arrive jaw-droppingly real. Ensure your next purchase is the real deal. Visit ebay.com for terms. I am delighted to be here with our 20th Bachelorette, Charity Lawson. Charity, hello.
Hello. I'm excited to be here.
How are you?
I'm doing great.
How has your dive into being the Bachelorette been? How are you feeling?
It has been a whirlwind, all the things. But, as we're gearing up for, this season to truly unfold, I'm doing great. Excited.
Where are you right now?
I'm in LA.
Nice. Are you living in LA for the whole season or just for press?
Just for press, yeah.
Nice.
Going back and forth.
And then where are you living when not doing press?
I'm in Charlotte, North Carolina.
Oh, nice. Mm-hmm. I wasn't sure because I was like, I know you're from Columbus, but you live in Charlotte. Very cool. I feel like Charlotte is really bustling these days in general.
Oh, it's like an up and coming. Like it is thriving. Love the
city. That's awesome. How long have you lived there?
Honestly, not long at all. It was right before I left for Zach's season, and then came back and very brief, and then got swept right away. So we're still relatively fresh.
Nice. There's a few Carolina guys in this season. Does that mean something to you? Were you more excited from guys who are regionally nearby?
Yeah, I'm a person that's flexible when it comes to location. So it's always exciting knowing you're right down the street or you're a 2-hour drive. Absolutely. But for the most part, location to me is it doesn't matter.
Gotcha. Let's dive into night 1 a little bit, if you don't mind. Just so you know, I've seen the first episode. What do you remember from the first night?
I remember some very creative and wild limo entrances. We have people doing flips in the common area.
Oh my God, that was wild.
Insane. I was like, this is a circus.
I don't know if you've seen the episode back, but I really enjoyed some of the commentary from, I believe it was Aaron S. who was
so crazy that you said that, because I was like, Aaron S. is like, he quite literally is the narrator.
like,
giving it all.
Yes, Aaron was, I wasn't sure about him, but then he was giving us like the way that he was making fun of the wrestler guy who's everyone's yes, Caleb, and then the jumper, who I think you sent home, right, Chris? He's out.
Yeah.
That's right. Was it because of the jumping?
No, I was like I was like truly impressed by his skills. I was like, oh God, like he's actually insane, but like in a great way. But obviously, I was going off of connection and I just truly didn't see it fully there with him, but that's okay.
On the first night, are you able to like pursue guys on your own, or did they have to come up to you? How do you navigate that?
Yeah, I think it's a little bit a mix of both. For the most part, you'll see a lot of the guys kind of like, step into that like lead role of like, I'm going to go after. But then also there's like moments where I could just duck off, or I could go and like pull someone to talk to. Yeah, a little bit of mix of both. It always is chaotic night one. Like you just never know what to expect.
How did it compare to being on the other side of things? Like, which do you remember more, and like, which was more traumatic? Because honestly, even as the lead, it seems like a lot.
Oh, it's definitely a lot. Like it is. I was going to say, it's like, it's so much more like fast paced, and you're like stimulated all night because you're like talking to so many people. And it's like very rare that you're like, oh, I get a moment to just like breathe. And I remember like as a contestant, like you're just sitting there all night. Like I'm like constantly going back and forth to the bar. I'm like, all right, let's get this thing going. You have so much more time. But even then that can like just be a little problematic, because as you get into the night and you have so much lingering time, it's like, when is my turn coming? So they're both on the same page, I would say.
Interesting. Mm-hmm. It was pouring rain, huh? For your first as the Bachelorette?
I was like, what is happening? Like through rain, my dress, obviously we see, is a gorgeous gown, but
you looked amazing.
So heavy, and it didn't help that, it got wet at the bottom. So I'm just like walking around like this. Night one is insane.
I know, it was so loud. I think when you were talking to Aaron B, maybe it was like, just
you can hear like the shh.
Yeah. I was thinking about it. Did you guys talk about if any other bachelorettes had a rainy night one? Because I don't think so.
I don't think so either. And I like to say, like, how they say, what's the saying, like when it rains on your wedding day, but I don't know, like maybe it was like a dose of good luck. Who knows?
Jesse did say that. In fact, he said, it's good luck when it rains on your wedding day. So
yes. Okay. So perfect.
That's funny. I mean, I feel like it's actually kind of good for the show, because everyone has to stay closer together. They actually can't like go outside and explore and whatever. But I was also like, it was bright out when the guys left. Like, how do you stay up? Like, what's your strategy?
Caffeine. I mean, I literally don't know. Caffeine, and then just like you're overstimulated. So much is going, so your adrenaline is truly just going.
And then the next day, do you get to sleep? Like, what do you do day two? So the guys arrive, and then you are doing the cocktail party until whatever, like 5 a.m. And then what happens?
Yeah, so that's kind of like the little transition period. We're just all getting acclimated. The guys get into the house, and I'm kind of getting adjusted too. So we're all just, it's like a big transition after night one. So yeah, a little bit of rest there, but honestly, we're diving right into everything.
Did you ever feel rested over the 3 months of being the Bachelorette or whatever it was?
No. No. We're going. We're just going. Yeah.
I can't even imagine it. I want to talk a little bit more about the guys. So like, who made a big impression on you based on their entrance alone? Like, and like what really, like, what were the qualities that caught your eye from the guys when they came out of the limos?
Yes, I will say Warwick absolutely, I think, had like the most like not most creative, but like it was just super cute. Like the one-way ticket to his hometown, I was like, this is great. And it also helps that work is just like such a cutie. So I was like, okay, really captivating. Loved his personality. A little shy there too. So like I kind of like that I was seeing a little bit of both. I knew like maybe he's going to be one I have to like kind of pull out a little bit more. And then Josh, he was super sweet. I think he was a little bit nervous, but like his limo entrance was super heartfelt. I'm a sucker for like the conversation. So like as much as I love like the creative like gimmicks, like the conversation ones really like let me see like, okay, people's like true motives, how genuine are they when they have these conversations. So between Josh, I remember like Daughton's really stood out to me.
He's also quite tall. So
tall. Literally so tall. He's insanely tall. I have a lot of tall guys this season.
You do. I was noticing that. And as was our tennis pro, Joey, he was like also quite noticing everyone's height.
Yeah, he was like, I'm going to have to be looking up. And I was like, it's okay, Joey.
Back to Josh for a second. I believe it was Josh who recognized your brother, right?
Yeah, I saw that and I was like, is he going to be the one to like bust his cover? But I think he just kind of kept it in. But I think Josh knew, obviously, because he watched last season. So
pretty impressive. Like, I watched the show really closely and I really liked your family. I definitely would not have recognized your brother in that disguise.
Yeah.
So I was like, wow, he must have like really prepared for this experience.
I think so. Yeah, it's safe to say he did.
Is that an ick, or is that something that you're like, oh, he's taking it seriously?
I think it was more like, okay, he's taking it serious. I don't think it like, was anything too crazy. Obviously, like he recognized my brother. I feel like we're pretty recognizable, but also not really. So I just am taking it as, okay, he's just really serious about all of this.
Nice. Who did give you the ick and why?
Like, yeah. Well, I will say maybe not necessarily ick, but maybe some limo entrances that made me like super uncomfy. Spencer, I think he asked me to kick him in the balls and I was like, what? What's going on? Like, what? Literally stop.
I wrote in my notes, what's happening here? That was
in my head. That's exactly what was saying. What's happening?
Oh my God. And then your conversation with him afterwards was also so uncomfortable. You really held it together. Like,
thank you.
I was just like, the way that also he was talking about his son, he made it sound like he had like a third limb that you couldn't see, or a fourth limb or something like that. Actually, no shots at his son.
No, literally, I will say like Spencer is like super funny and he has this like, I don't know, like this energy about him, but I think I'm just also like taking in consideration again, like it's night one. I don't know nerves, what was going on, but like I literally just had to like brace myself when I was around him.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, that was very hard to watch. And I honestly was like just confused. Do you think he thought you would actually kick him in the nuts?
I think he really did. I think he like the way he was like bracing himself for impact. I was like, I'm not doing this. Like I'm in a dress. I can't even move my legs right now. Like it's not happening.
that was really weird. Anyone else where you're just like, no, like let's end this interaction?
I'm trying to think. I don't know. I will say Taylor had, he did the home video. I thought it was super cute, like brought out the limo, but then it became a thing where it was like every part of our conversation was like on the GoPro and being filmed. So I was like, all right, can we just like have a moment like in time, So give me the egg, but it was definitely like, we're okay. We've had the gimmick, we've had the creativity. Let's put it away now.
That makes a lot of sense. I did notice that it felt like you were trying to get into it like right away. Like you really wanted to maximize your time, and like it seemed like you wanted to ask like real questions and get to know each other from the jump. Was that like a specific strategy that you had? Like what was your mindset going into it?
Well, I mean, I don't necessarily know if it's a strategy, but it's obviously it's like, time is so important. And, with my brother being there, I kind of came in with the mindset of like, okay, let's see truly if I can maybe tell right off the bat if there are people here that just maybe can't hold a conversation or don't want to have a conversation or things might come up. So it's important to kind of hit the ground running with these questions that are of substance. Obviously, we have like, the icebreakers, but that only lasts truly for like the first few minutes of conversations. And then as we transition, it's important to start getting into things.
Let's talk about Brayden, the recipient of the first impression rose.
Mm-hmm.
What was it about him that sucked you in? Literally, since you guys made out.
Great. Yeah. I think with Brayden, he was someone we see like his personality already is coming through the screens so profoundly, very charismatic. But with him, it was just super. It was a good conversation. Like, I'm just going to leave it at that. Like, I felt really comfortable around him. It was like one of those conversations that I didn't have to think about. It was just effortless. It happened. Obviously, the chemistry we see, undeniable, it's there. So yeah, all the things were kind of just checking off the box. And with a night, like I said, as chaotic as night one, it's important that when you sit down with someone, like, you're just yourself. Like, you don't have to feel like you're on. And that's exactly what I felt with Brayden.
I gotta say, I was surprised. I thought Aaron B or Xavier were going to get it based on those conversations. Did you like them both a lot, or am I reading that
you're not
wrong?
far off. Yeah. So I was going to say, if it wasn't Brayden, it probably would have been maybe Xavier for sure. I think between Brayden and Xavier, like, they were probably like the people that I had the most chemistry with right off the bat, night one.
I will say, I think Aaron B, I forgot that he played the piano, which is like kind of awkward. So
yeah, I was like,
it's sweet, but
I was like, it's my personal concert.
It was sweet, but it was like, yeah, it was like a spoken word concert. You're like, let's just talk. That's how I would feel.
Get over here.
But Xavier does seem awesome. I think this is a good group of guys. Like, a lot of them have like really good jobs, which, like, not to say you should only judge someone based on their career, though I do frequently, but it just like speaks to, I think, like, intention and just also like who they are. Like, do they know things about, other than being on camera or whatever?
Exactly. I think a lot of them, the maturity definitely is there this season. A lot of them are also older, which is refreshing. I think we see kind of like the same like age range, especially with like past casts. So this season, it's going to be refreshing in the sense, like, yes, they all hold great jobs. They're all attractive. Personalities are great.
Very handsome. Yeah.
Yeah. All the things. Check.
I will say Brayden, 24, a younger man.
See, and that's the thing. I did not discover that night one. So not that that would have played a factor in, but did not discover that. So,
well, it's
the younger one.
It speaks to his maturity, I guess, in the moment. He seemed fun. I thought the shots thing was actually cool.
It was great. Yeah.
That's like a normal first date, right?
Yeah. I was like, this is like right up my alley, like something I would totally do if I had a first interaction with you. So yeah. I was like, Brayden really is hitting all the boxes.
Yeah. And it's interesting when you said like he was just like easy to talk to. When I was watching you on Zach's season of The Bachelor, I always got the impression that Zach felt really comfortable around you, and like being like your time together seemed to be like a break for him, where it was like something that he just like easily enjoy. Did you like, were there certain people that you looked forward to having around on a group date or whatever, just because they would like be a safe haven for you to kind of like feel like you could turn it off?
Absolutely. I think like that's so important, especially like as a lead. It's just like you're doing so much, you're navigating so much, and then you have these conversations where you're still trying to like figure things out. But like with the people that you establish like these connections early on, it's like a breath of fresh air, literally. So like when you're sitting down or you're on these dates where you're juggling so much, it's like, I just really want to talk to this person, or I want to be with this person because their energy is just like so refreshing.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah.
Do you think it's possible? Like, I feel like on the show, like you have to like be romantic right away. But like, do you feel like it's possible for a friendship to occur first and then it like turns into something else?
Oh, definitely. Like, you'll see that. For sure. Yeah. Yeah. I'm not one to really like hit the ground running with like romantics unless like there is just
unless you're the Bachelorette, you're making out
that. Yeah. Or there's this undeniable physical chemistry. But for the most part, like, yeah, you'll see me kind of take the lead with some of that. But the guys definitely step up to the plate.
Interesting. I did remark to myself, you made out with a lot of guys on night one. Were you surprised? Did you surprise yourself? Like, what was your expectation on kissing before it actually happened?
I did not have a game plan. I was like, whatever happens, happens. But you see me initiate a few of them, which I was like, I didn't really want to do. Like, I don't know. I really like for a guy to take the lead, but obviously I am the Bachelorette, so you got to do what you got to do. And I think
interesting.
It was definitely like, it was exciting to like kind of be the lead in that role of like, okay, I'm gonna kiss you now, but like next time, hopefully that you're gonna be the one that initiates things. So yeah, just switching things up a little bit.
Interesting. Do you feel like the guys were really looking to follow your lead? Like, was that the expectation in general?
I don't know. I really I was trying to get a read on everyone. I think for the most part, like everyone was just actually genuinely nervous, which I was like, what is going on? And I was like, okay, I'm giving y'all the benefit of the doubt, but like next time, like, come on.
Were you nervous on your first night with Zach?
Oh God, yes. I was terrified.
Had you been on TV before at all? I guess
No.
but I guess cheering is is performing, right?
I guess, yeah. If you want, I think it's totally different though. Like a million cameras in your face. Yeah, totally different. But yeah, I was definitely nervous when I sat down with Zach. But I think, like you said, it's like those people you definitely get to know whether or not compatibility wise, and also just like reading people's energy, like if this could be a match based off how you feel in the moment. So that's just a huge telltale sign to look out for.
Did Zach have any tips for you, or who gave you good advice in general?
Rachel and Gabby. I talked to Rachel Recchia and Gabby. Obviously, they're great. I love them both. They really just advised me to like be present because like how fast things go, and it's so like it looks so far down the line, and it's like you get caught up. So I was like super intentional about that, like really taking each day by day, but also like how present I was with like every single relationship. Like it's a lot to navigate. But making sure I was devoting myself 100% to everyone was super key. And then obviously Michelle Young reached out to me.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, she gave me some advice. Obviously, being a Black woman in this role like was huge. So she sent me some words of encouragement and always rooting for me. So I love and adore her.
That's awesome. Yeah, it's really cool to have another Black woman as the Bachelorette. I mean, there obviously haven't been very many, so it's really cool. Did you feel like an extra kind of pressure being a Black woman in this position, and like how did you approach that?
Yeah, I mean, we know just like with history and just how reality TV is, or just being on TV in general, and usually how Black women are portrayed at times. It's like I felt like, to a certain degree, it's like you have to carry yourself because certain things aren't going to fly or aren't going to, be easily overlooked by viewers just simply because you're Black. Your whole right. It's a different standard. So like definitely in that sense, but overall, like, I was just really excited, obviously, for the opportunity for representation. And so, that's going to come with excitement, but also, there might be, mixed takes on that, and that's okay. But, here we are, we're the fourth, fifth woman of color, Black women. So we're happy. We're excited.
That's great. I will say also with the men, one thing that the show historically has not had a lot of is Asian American representation, but there is more in this cast, and I was really happy to see it. And also, I will just say I personally have a crush, I think, on John. Yes, who said he's Chinese American data scientist. I was like, he's very cute. I liked his suit a lot too.
So charming, such a sweet one for sure.
Mm-hmm. Who surprised you the most? Like based on where things were on night one to then, like, you don't need to say why they surprised you, but like who should we keep an eye on and be like, oh, they're not what you expect?
I'm
hoping you say John, because again, I really like him.
No, I was gonna say John is definitely John is definitely one of them. I want to like say someone else, not who you expect. I think Tanner. Tanner's one. Yeah, Tanner's one to look out for. So John B and Tanner.
I liked the towel, honestly. I feel like also having a towel on hand is great. I'm a sweater, so I'd be really glad to feel like this is helpful.
Right, it's sweat all night.
When the show wrapped, what was it like coming out of the bubble? Like, first of all, what did you Google? Like, what was the first thing you wanted to know? And second of all, what was it like emotionally?
Literally, when I got back, I was like, I don't even want my phone. It was like insane, but it's the truth. You are so like just immersed in this environment that you almost get used to it. So like the adjustment after is just, it's insane. And it took a while for me too, because like I was just on go. So like I really just caught up on rest, but then obviously navigating like how I was feeling after everything and trying to make sense of all of that. Yeah. First thing I Googled, I don't even know. I can't even remember, truly. It probably was like anything on me or article, like what was happening, because I got swept away. So I didn't even like see the rest of Zach's season, all of that. Like I had I had to go back and catch up on that. So I think that was like one of the first things I did, but just trying to get back in the loop with everything.
It was a dramatic finale. Gabby really.
Yeah.
Who do you still talk to from your season?
Majority of the girls, we're all like super close, which is I'm
nice.
grateful for that. But like Katie, I was with her a couple weeks ago. Jess and Kat, Brooklyn, Allie, Mercedes, and Kylie. Like we're all super
a big
close.
Group.
Yeah, Ariel too. Mm-hmm.
Nice. That's really cool. And then there used to be a Bachelorette group chat, like of all the women who are the Bachelorettes. Does that still exist?
I haven't been added to it yet, so maybe not.
I will say this is the 20th season, but I guess you're the 21st Bachelorette because there was two with Rachel and Gabby. That's a big group chat. You definitely has to be on WhatsApp at that point.
Exactly.
Maybe it becomes generational, but who knows?
Right.
Do you watch a lot of reality TV, like just in general?
I like to say not really, but maybe. I love like Real Housewives. Like that's if I'm like tuning into reality TV. It's stuff like that. But like never really got into like Love Island or Too Hot to Handle. I'm not really that kind of reality TV girl, but
it's a big commitment.
It is. But we, Love is Blind, seen a few seasons of that. It's just always interesting to see like the different types of like dating shows.
Yeah. And I asked because I just curious, like, did you have an expectation when you're on the cameras of like, did you like think about how will this be edited or like, how am I coming across? Like, how much did those ideas cross your mind? Because I feel like, we are 20 seasons into The Bachelorette. Like, there's sort of like a framework to thinking about it. Whereas like Trista was just like, well, what's she doing? Who knows? So how much context did you bring to it?
I think like last season, I was definitely more mindful just because I was like getting adjusted to like camera life or cameras in front of you at all time. But this time around, like I was completely unfazed. Like it didn't bother me at all.
That's
so I was
awesome.
like, I knew to just like be Charity. And obviously you'll see a lot more of like my personality. I think last season, a little bit of that just definitely was not shown in its entirety. But like this go around, you'll definitely see like all sides of me for sure.
Well, I feel like this premiere, I was like, oh, she's really fun. I was like, she's really funny because the way that you clearly weren't talking to yourself, but like the people around you waiting for the guy, it seems like you're talking to yourself, but I know that you're not. Like I thought those were all like really charming moments, and I'm not just saying that, but I do feel like when me and my co-host Callie, we were like, we barely got to know Charity, even though, and she never, and like I feel like you didn't get the opportunity to often like respond to the conflicts that you were a part of for whatever reason. Yeah. So I'm like excited to get to know you more through the show and to see what happens. And it seems like it gets dramatic.
Yeah, you'll see a little sassiness come out.
What's your favorite place that you went to?
Fiji.
Oh, that's an awesome one. Damn, that's high budget.
Yeah,
nice.
It was beautiful. Truly.
That's really far away. That's crazy.
It is a long flight.
That's so nuts. What was it like for your family? They seemed really lovely in the first episode.
Yeah, no, my family they're the best. Truly. I am just truly so blessed to have them in my corner. My brother, obviously, we know makes an appearance, but throughout the season and just from the initial like point of me being offered to be the Bachelorette, they were freaking out. They couldn't believe it, but I think they're mostly excited just because they're like, oh, like it worked for you last season, although we didn't get the true outcome, but yeah, went through the whole thing and it worked. You got to a point where you were falling in love with someone, and so they're just hopeful for my future and they're excited.
Did you really feel like you were going to marry Zach at any point?
Honestly, I'll be honest. Like at Hometowns, you see me like vocalize like I was falling in love or I'm in love. I think I said falling in love, not in love, falling in love. And so, yeah, I think, it's like that's kind of where the turning point starts to happen. Mm-hmm. You start to like kind of place yourself like, okay, what could life be? But like there was, I think for me and Zach, definitely like a lot more conversations that needed to be truly had. But like for the most part, like he was an exceptional like person that that exuded all these like great traits. And I was like, oh, this is like definitely like what makes up a good partner for long-term and longevity wise. So yeah, I would say I think I definitely did see it, but as if I had continued, I think we would have probably had to like definitely talk about some more things.
Of course. I feel like that makes sense that Hometowns makes it real because you're like with your family taken outside of just like you're back in like familiar places, even though the cameras are still there and whatnot. So interesting. Very cool. And did you feel like there were any guys that you really liked, but they just couldn't get used to like the atmosphere? And like if you would see them, like how do you help?
Yes. Just simply yes, which is like I was aware of that going in, and I always wanted to meet the guys like with just this compassion because I understand like it is strange. Like it's strange to like just be opening up, talking about things. And then of course, like having intimate moments and there's like a camera right there. So just me like reassuring, like, obviously like you can't really get too caught up in that. Otherwise you'll lose like sight and focus of why you're here, and just trying to like remind them, like, it's fine. Like it'll go away. Just like try and relax. But for some people, like this environment is just really tough and you either can get through or you can't.
All right. Last question. What's the most surprising thing about being the Bachelorette so far?
Most surprising thing. Yeah, I would say I'll make a good answer.
I like that you have to think about it because that means that no one else has asked you yet. I'm glad.
Yeah. Most surprising thing about being the Bachelorette. Filming wise, I will just say how long it is, like the days are, and then obviously like how difficult it is truly just to be in a place where you're falling for several people and navigating a million relationships. That's insane. Externally and like outside, I think just like the support and like how many people are like actually like really like rooting for me. I don't know.
Awesome to hear.
Yeah, I'm really humble in that sense that I try not to like put myself on like this pedestal, but like to see how much outpour there was just from like fans and viewers, like it's been insane and incredible in so many ways. So yeah,
That's really cool to hear. Well, I'm rooting for you too. Looking forward to watching the rest of the season. It was a great premiere. And yeah, so nice to meet you. Thanks for taking the time. Good luck with this whirlwind of media.
Whirlwind. Thank you so much. So nice meeting you.
I'll be back on Thursday with my friends Rachel and Melanie Platten. Catch Callie on the Ringer reality TV podcast Morally Corrupt on Fridays. Charity, we're doing it with you. We'll be back next week. Thanks to our producer Ashley Smith, and we'll talk to you soon.